Ah, go live, and I'm going live. Hello if you watch us live again, and hello if you watch us in playback. I generally don't know what just happened. I was talking, and then apparently OBS, which I'm doing the stream off, just completely cut me out. So apologies if that happens again. I've got no control over that. Flipping streaming services or whatever they call them. It's really annoying, but anyway, thank you for being here if you're here watching this live, and thank you for being here if you're here watching this on playback. And welcome to my 24th live stream on this channel. Now, if you don't know what these live streams are, essentially once or twice or maybe even 3 times a week, I talk about current movie and TV topics going on in the current movie and TV world right now. And at the same time, though, I will also be answering any live questions sent in during today's live stream. So if you are watching this live, please do send in a live question, and I'll probably answer the best of my abilities. And at the same time, though, if you want me to talk about something in particular in my next live stream, please do let me know in the comment section below whether you want some playback or if you're watching this live. And at the same time, though, I should say a couple of house clean items before I get into the main topic of the live stream today. First of all, I should say that I live next to a main road, so if at any point you hear like motorbikes or tractors or trucks or even just cars in general going past during the live stream, I can't help that. It's because I live next to a main road. And at the same time, though, I do also have hay fever as well, and obviously it's a summer and everything, so if any reason I do sneeze during this live stream, I do apologise. Again, I can't control that either. And at the same time, though, I should also say that sometimes it does feel like I'm next to a building site. Honestly, there's always work going on in the houses next to me, so if for any reason you do hear drilling at any point during this live stream, I do apologise. Again, that's out of my control. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into my mainstream, my live stream for today. My main topic on my live stream, well, my only topic for today, and that is how Warner Brothers ruined their own box office with the Suicide Squad. How they ruined the box office of the Suicide Squad. I'm not going to make it a short live stream today, but nevertheless, I'm going to make it a poignant one at that. Now, the thing is, I wasn't planning on talking about the Suicide Squad again on this channel. Honestly, last live stream, I was talking about how well the DCU was doing, and I think I thought, Shazam was great. I didn't like Wonder Woman 94 too much, but I also did like Birds of Prey, and I liked, what was it, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which came out earlier this year. But basically, long story short, I was big on the DCU, and I was thinking the Suicide Squad's going to do well at the box office, and finally, the DCU will be going in a fantastic direction with this, fantastic sort of James Gunn direction, hopefully. I don't know if they're going to do that now, and that's unfortunate, because basically, at the moment, the Suicide Squad did bad at the box office. It did not do as well as Warner Bros. Wanted to, and things though, it's Warner Bros. Fault in the end. So I'm going to get into why it is a bit later in this live stream. But honestly, it's really disappointing to start off with, the fact that it did bad at the box office, because the movie's great. Honestly, it's brilliant. I went to go watch it again yesterday for the 3rd time at the cinema. In fact, I would go watch it a 4th, but I don't really have the time because I'm going away in a couple of days. But the thing is though, if I had the time, I would go watch it a 4th time because it is just so good. And I was watching it in a cinema full of people yesterday, and everyone was just laughing along with it, cheering when King Shark came on the screen and everything. And honestly, it's such a joyful, it's a bizarre movie, but it's, bonkers and all out fun in the best way possible, in my opinion. Honestly, it's a James Gunn film left, right, and centre, and it's really good. And it's a shame that it's done bad at the box office, because I would like more comic book movies to be like this nowadays. Because so many comic movies nowadays, I talked about before, and if you like Marvel, fair enough, but I just find quite a lot of Marvel movies, dull, boring, and bland. And like that's how I found Black Widow, and that's just one movie out of about 20 that I'm not really the biggest fan of. I like Guardians of the Galaxy, I like Spider-Man Homecoming, I like Spider-Man Home, and Iron Man 1 as well, but most of the time Marvel doesn't really work for me. So it was really nice and refreshing to have a movie like The Suicide Squad, which did all these things different with the comic book genre, and it played... What the hell's going on out there, by the way? Okay, some weird noise going on outside. Apologies if you can hear that as well. Some really weird noise going outside. Sorry about that. No, but yeah, basically, it was kind of nice and refreshing to have a movie like The Suicide Squad, which was so different than any of these other comic movies nowadays. And that's kind of one of the reasons I absolutely love it. Honestly, I really do. And when I woke up the other day to see that, The Suicide Squad did bad at the box office, I was a bit upset, I'm not going to lie, because now it might put Warner Brothers off, giving James Gunn this huge amount of money again to go make another Superman movie. I mean, I don't know if it will, and again, I'm going to be talking about that a bit later on in this live stream, but honestly, it is unfortunate the fact that such an amazing movie, in my opinion, did quite bad at the box office. I'm not going to lie. And if you don't believe me that it did bad, let's just jump onto jump onto the internet a sec. So optical illusion. Let's jump onto the internet a sec and let's look on the Hollywood Reporter. But anyway, this is what Hollywood Reporter is. Quite a reliable news source, by the way, if anyone doesn't know. But anyway, box office. The Suicide Squad opens to lowly $26.5 million as moviegoers stay at home amid Delta variant. So this is in America. James Gunn's anti-hero pick came in behind expectations as COVID-19 cases once again rise in the US. The film also debuted on HBO Max, which I'm going to be talking about a bit later in this live stream, so that fans could watch it in the comfort of their own homes. We jump down here a bit. The box office recovery took another hit as Warner Brothers and DC's critical darling, The Suicide Squad, opened to a less than expected $26.5 million from 4,002 North American theaters, and challenges posed by the Delta variant and a hybrid theatrical home launch. The movie could claim one victory. It scored the top North American opening of the pandemic era for an R-rated title. There's something. It's not a big victory, can I point out, because there hasn't actually been that many R-rated movies come out since. Well, if you don't know what R-rated is, by the way, it's like 15-minute movies, but there's not really been that many R-rated movies come out since the pandemic and since, theatres being opened up again. But still, nevertheless, that is some sort of victory. Overseas, where COVID-19 is likewise on the rise in a number of territories, the Suicide Squad collected a muted $35 million and 71 markets for from 71 markets, by the way, for a foreign tally of $45.7 million and global take of $72.2 million overall. James Gunn directed the standalone sequel about DC's team of anti-heroes, featuring a cast led by so on and so on and so on. Heading into the weekend, Warner was predicting a $30 million start in North American theaters. The film was made available simultaneously on HBO Max. That's its problem, a practice that many box office pundits say hurt theatrical releases. And that's the truth. In the end, this movie would have done so much better if it just came out in cinemas. Honestly, the movie didn't do well, and I love this movie. I think it's magnificent, but in the end, I think that, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this, I think that this movie is a disaster for Warner Bros. Right now. It was around about, I might be wrong here, but it was around about $180 million on this movie, and, it's not going to make its money back. And that's a shame, because it's so great. It's better than most Marvel movies, in my opinion. It's better than all the Marvel movies, in my opinion, actually. I'm about to say it's not better, it's not as good as Guardians of the Galaxy. Actually, I prefer to move over Guardians of the Galaxy was done by the same director. But anyway, you get my point. It's disappointing that, because in the end, this movie's so fantastic, but it's a disaster for Warner Bros. At the same time, because they're losing money on this film. And it's all down to their own scheming methods. The fact that this film was released on HBO Max simultaneously, and the fact that nobody in America, because we don't actually have HBO Max in the UK, but nobody in America had to actually pay a dollar or how much money to actually watch this on HBO Max simultaneously. Like, many people might say right now, oh, but Black Widow did a simultaneous release and everything. But yes, it did. And by the way, Black Widow did actually fall quite short on its second weekend at the box office. But the thing is, though, the reason Black Widow still did pretty well is because, you still had to pay like $30 in America to watch that thing on Premier Access, on, Disney Plus. So even if you were sitting at home to watch Black Widow, you still had to pay for it. That's not what's happening with the Suicide Squad. You can watch it for free on HBO Max. And that's... Why do that? Why just screw them over? At least, charge people something, like $10 at least in America. It's just... Pardon me there, it's just, they're kind of screwing up their own projects there. I mean, it's not only the Suicide Squad which, has fallen victim to the whole HBO Max scheme right now. Bear in mind, Godzilla vs. Kong did back in March. And even so, Godzilla vs. Kong did do well, by the way. That's because Godzilla vs. Kong has Godzilla and Kong in. Two very big characters. And I'm going to talk about the fact that this movie didn't really have many big characters in there as well, which might be another small reason that the film failed at the box office as well and didn't have a big wide appeal. But anyway, at the same time though, later on this year we're also going to have, the film King Richard, which is about, Serena and Venus Williams' dad, which has got Will Smith, and by the way, that's also debuting on, HBO Max and in cinemas at the same time. So Dune, the Denis Villeneuve epic, it looks amazing, by the way. But, we might not get a sequel to that film because it's debuting on HBO Max the same day it hits cinemas. And at the same time, though, you also have The Matrix 4, which is going to be going in the same way. And there's going to be loads of other movies as well. And honestly, it's Warner Brothers ruining their own films. That's why the Suicide Squad failed at the box office, because people could watch it in their homes, in America and everything. And yes, I know COVID is still a thing like that, and I know in America there's a whole thing with the Delta variant and a lot of cases going up and things like that. And I know quite a lot of people in America aren't actually getting vaccinated. They have this like weird suspicions over it. By the way, I'm double vaxxed. Go and get vaccinated if you haven't get vaccinated. Just go and do it. It's really annoying for people who haven't. But anyway, yes. It's really annoying that people haven't, by the way. And I'm not saying like I support people who haven't had the vaccine. No, I don't support them. Go and get vaccinated. Just go and get it. But anyway, basically, yeah, you get my point. In America, the cases are going up for people who haven't been vaccinated yet. And so I understand the fact that, people want to stay home in America. But in the end, I can tell you this now. I reckon that if this movie came out just in the cinemas, I think it would have got more at the box office. I mean, maybe not lots more. I'm not saying this movie would have done loads better, but I think it would have got more money if it just came out in cinemas. Because imagine that, a superhero movie in the cinema during August. The month is summer, essentially. I mean, July summer as well, but essentially August is the month that everyone's off and everything, and everyone wants to go to the cinema. Why would you want to go to the cinema in the summer and watch a superhero movie? That's so much fun to watch. Honestly, that's why I just think the movie would have been so much better. I mean, bear in mind, Black Widow didn't do bad either, and that came out, before and everything. But the thing is, though, it's just, in the end, they did the whole HBO Max stuff, and it's ruined their box office. It really has, because now people know if you have HBO Max in America, you can just sit there at the comfort of your home, on your settee or whatnot, and just stick on the Suicide Squad for no money at all. At least on Disney Plus with Black Widow, you had to pay to watch that movie, like $30 in America. You didn't have to do that in this country. And you didn't. Well, we don't even get HBO Max in this country. But you didn't even have to do that with the Suicide Squad. That's the point I'm trying to get to. And at the same time, though, there are some other small reasons that should be accounted to. Bear in mind, one of the other small reasons about this film that may mean that it did not that great at the box office is the fact that the first Suicide Squad movie, which came out in 2016, obviously was quite a bad movie, and many people maybe liked that, well, who didn't like the movie, obviously. If you liked that movie, then of course you wouldn't go and see a sequel, but maybe if you didn't like the first movie, then maybe you were maybe put off by watching a movie which practically has the same title, Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad. Very similar titles. I almost admit, I don't think James Gunn did the best with the title in the film. I do think it should have been called The Suicide Squad, like, Task Force X or something like that, But in the end, I know what he's trying to do with this film. He's trying to get a similar audience that liked the first Suicide Squad movie into this movie. But at the same time, though, not many people liked the first Suicide Squad movie. So maybe people had a sour taste in their mouth after watching the first Suicide Squad, and maybe didn't want to see a sequel to it. Honestly, I was hesitant. I must admit here, I was hesitant about watching a Suicide Squad sequel until I heard that James Gunn was directing it. And that's just me, though. For many people who were maybe not into movies as much as me, maybe hearing that James Gunn, this random film director, is doing a second Suicide Squad movie may not turn around your opinion on watching a second one. But hey, that's just another reason in itself that this movie may have failed at the box office. At the same time, though, this film doesn't have big characters in there. It doesn't have big well-known characters in there. Yes, Harley Quinn's in there, but bear in mind the last movie that Harley Quinn was in was Birds of Prey, which did do great at the box office. It didn't do terribly, but it didn't do great either, though, and it could have done a lot better. And yes, we got Harley Quinn in there, but what else we have as well? Bloodsport, Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher 2, King Shark, all great characters, going to point out. Brilliant to watch in the movie. Honestly, I absolutely love all those characters. But they're not the Joker and the Batman. They're not these big characters. They're not characters which people want to go and see the movies. And that's a shame overall. It really is, because I think the characters in the movie are great, but they're not well-known characters. And I get what James Gunn was trying to do with this movie. In fact, I support the fact that he didn't just use these big well-known characters. But in the end, Polka Dot Man, not that well-known. Ratcatcher 2, great character. The heart of the film, not that well-known, though. And those are just some small reasons as well that I think the movie failed. I've heard some people say that it's kind of got like the Will Smith sequel. It's one of the Will Smith sequel victims. Like if you watch like if you watch a Will Smith sequel, like I don't know, Independence Day 2 or what's the other one, Men in Black International, that doesn't actually have Will Smith in, then the movie fails at the box office. And yes, that did happen with Men in Black International and Independence Day 2 as well. But the thing is though, not all Will Smith films are done amazingly at the box office was that film Wild Wild West did awful at the box office. So I don't think the Will Smith stuff mattered that much. But saying that though, it would have been interesting to see if Will Smith was in this movie, and because he was in the first Suicide Squad movie, and if he was in this movie back as Deadshot, would the movie done better? I don't know. It's one of the things I think only would be determined if he actually was in this movie, but the fact is though he's not. But anyway, I have seen some people online, dispute that maybe this movie didn't do the best because it's an R rating, it's a 15, and maybe that's small, that decreases the demographic for this movie. And honestly, I disagree with that. I don't think that having a movie that which is a 15 or an R rating, whichever we're going to refer to it as, I'm going to say it's an R rating for the sake of this live stream. Having a movie that's an R rating, I don't think that's going to affect the box office too much. I think it does to a degree. Automatically, yes, you get less audiences because it's not like a Marvel movie. You're not going to get a family going watching that movie. But the thing is though, in the end, R-rated movies still make a lot of money. Let's use one example. In fact, a DC example of that. The Joker. The Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix, grossed over $1 billion at the box office. And that movie was made for $80 million. Pardon me there, I had some lunch before I did this live stream. But yeah, that movie grossed over $1 billion was made for $80 million. I mean, imagine how happy DC were with that movie. Imagine how happy Warner Bros. Were with that movie, by the way. But yeah, that movie grossed over $1 billion because it was still an R-rated movie. Again, pardon me then. But the thing is though, this movie didn't do the same. Now, we should take into account the movie is called Joker. It's about the Joker and everything like that. That's obviously quite a big DC character. But then, if you look further down the line at a movie which came out, before the Joker, which actually had, other big characters in there, Batman, Superman, Aquaman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, a little movie called Justice League, which came out in 2017, the theatrical cut, not Zack Snyder's Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League is much better, but no, the first theatrical cut of Justice League, if you look at that movie bombed at the box office. Yet that movie includes Batman, it's got Superman, it's got The Flash, and it's got Aquaman, it's got Wonder Woman in, and yet it bombed at the box office. And that movie was a 12 as well, by the way. That movie had a bigger demographic going for it, and yet people didn't want to see it. But the thing is though, one of the things that I was finding a bit baffling about the whole Justice League box office back in 2017 is the fact that Wonder Woman actually came out earlier that year, the first Wonder Woman film, not the second one by the way, Wonder Woman 94 is rubbish by the way in my opinion, but it's not rubbish, but I didn't really like it either. But the thing is though, the first Wonder Woman film came out in 2017, and the thing is though, that film actually, it did pretty well at the box office. It didn't do amazingly, but it did pretty well. And a lot of people were up in the first Wonder Woman film. I mean, it wasn't loved by everyone, mainly misogynists, but it wasn't loved by everyone. But the thing is though, a lot of people liked the movie, me included. And so a lot of people would have liked to see Wonder Woman again in Justice League later that year. But I always found it a bit baffling that Justice League bombed. The fact that it was a movie which had, Batman, Superman, The Flash, Aquaman, and, so on and so on and so on. But the fact is, though, and it was a 12, and it had a larger demographic going for it, but things though, it bombed, but the Joker did better. So I don't think the fact that there's an R-rated movie really would have changed people's perceptions. Bear in mind, both Deadpool movies did pretty well as well, and I must admit, I'd never heard of Deadpool before the first Deadpool movie came out in 2016, and now, obviously, that Deadpool is like a big IP for Marvel, and I think people love the whole Deadpool character. I must admit, I'm not in that demographic. I think the whole Deadpool character actually is quite self-absorbed and quite egotistical and not that funny to watch, but nevertheless it gets big audiences. But the thing is though, I'd never heard of Deadpool before the first Deadpool film came out, and nevertheless the first Deadpool film did make quite a lot of money. So I don't think the fact that this movie is an R rating would have changed the box office. Honestly, if this movie came out in a non-COVID era, like Joker can be pointed out, and as an R rating and everything, and people really want to go and see the movie, they would have, because in the end an R rating is not going to change it. Can we point out that Joker made over $1 billion? Yes, it's a Joker movie, but I don't think the fact here that having a big character there would have changed a lot. Bear in mind, Justice League didn't do great at the box office when it initially came out in 2017. But anyway, that's just another point there. I'm just going to get to my notes a sec, just forgot what I was going to say next. This is great, people, I forgot what I was going to say next. But anyway, yes, that's the other thing I was going to say next. Yeah, basically, what I was going to say next, though, is the fact that James Gunn is already experienced in the comic book genre, though. He did also make two other movies for Marvel, two little movies called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, when the first Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014, it was one of those movies where everyone was a bit skeptical about it before it came out. No one knew these characters. And yes, again, it was another movie like The Suicide Squad, which James Gunn was making, which, had unknown characters in it, and not many people knew about those characters. I mean, Groot, who the hell knows about Groot? One of the best characters in the film. James Gunn quite literally made a tree into one of the best characters in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and the second one at that, by the way. The thing is, though, no one knew who Groot was going into the first Guardians of the Galaxy. No one knew who, Rocket Raccoon was. No one really knew who Gamora was, or if he did, really, if you did, you had read the comic books, and no one really knew who Peter Quill was, and so on and so on and so on, or Drax the Destroyer. But the thing is, though, that movie still did well at the box office. And, a lot of people might go, oh yeah, because it was Marvel, though. People are going to get a good track record with Marvel. And by the way, sorry if you can hear, there's a car beeping outside, though. It's a bit annoying. But anyway, yeah, Marvel always people always say that Marvel always has a good track record. I disagree. Back in 2014, bear in mind what had come out before, 2014 with Marvel. What the hell is that motorbike doing, by the way? I don't know if anyone can actually hear that motorbike outside. But anyway, yes, there's quite a few things going on outside right now. It's all a bit weird. But anyway, yes, going back onto the topic at hand. I've got to focus back onto the topic now. Yes. Bear in mind, back when Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014, Marvel was not on the best track record. Bear in mind, what came out in 2013, the year before, and Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World. Iron Man 3... quite a lot of people like the movie. I personally think it's rubbish. And Thor the Dark World is actually probably the most disliked Marvel movie to date, actually. That, and I'd say, what's the other movie? Iron Man 2. So, I don't think people would have been really up on Marvel going into Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, you might disagree there and everything, that's fine. It's all subjective. I just, personally for me, I didn't see a big hype for Guardians of the Galaxy back in 2014. But the thing is, though, that movie still did well because of the way Marvel marketed and everything, and because people were interested to go into that movie because it was new and different from the MCU. And the fact is, though, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, it didn't do amazingly at the box office, but it did pretty well considering it had a bunch of unknown characters in there, including one of the main characters who was basically a tree. But anyway, yeah, you get my point here. There's so many things that a lot of people are saying nowadays, like, oh my god, well, the characters were known in here. That's one of the reasons the movie bombed. And I suppose, yes, we'd agree, but still, James Gunn made Guardians of the Galaxy, which had unknown characters in there, and that movie didn't bomb. Or if you look at a movie like the fact that, this movie doesn't have no big characters in there, well, yes, but Justice League bombed as well, which came out in 2017. And, people say, well, DC's not on a good track record. Well, they are, in my opinion. Bear in mind, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which came out earlier this year, was liked by quite a lot of people. Bear in mind, Birds of Prey was liked. Yes, Wonder Woman 94 wasn't liked by everyone. But still, in my opinion, DC have had more ups and downs at the moment. And bear in mind, when James Gunn made his first in that unknown comic book movie with Guardians of the Galaxy back in 2014, Marvel was not the same. The MCU wasn't the same MCU we know nowadays. It wasn't the highest grossing franchise of all time. No, it still had only made one Avengers film and made its third Iron Man film and made its second Thor film. The MCU was at a turning point with Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's all those factors come together. But at the same time, though, I also think that the biggest factor as to why this movie failed at the box office is all thanks to Warner Bros. And the HBO Max simultaneous release. Honestly, they are literally ruining their own movie box offices in the future with the whole HBO Max dual release, the whole HBO Max simultaneous release. I don't mind the whole idea, but charge people who are going to watch it at home, charge them $10, $20 to watch a movie like Disney Plus do, and people you'll at least get some sort of box office taking or some sort of profit from that movie. But the fact is, that isn't what they did with the Suicide Squad. They did, Disney Plus did that with Black Widow, and Black Widow still made more money than the Suicide Squad's going to make, and that's just a perfect exemplification of where Disney Plus is triumphing over HBO Max in America. Honestly, that's just so annoying. The fact that it did bomb, and the fact that it's all down to Warner Bros. It's not down to the whole RA and stuff. It's not down to the fact that this movie don't have an unknown character, in my opinion. That may be a small factor, but bear in mind Harley Quinn's in there, and bear in mind a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy still made a lot of money. Yes, it's from Marvel, but bear in mind, where was Marvel at back when the first Guardians of the Galaxy film came out? And just look at all these examples I'm pointing out there, and yes, the first Suicide Squad movie wasn't the best, but still, if you market this movie the right way, which they did to a degree in my opinion, I do think this movie could be marketed a bit better. I'm not going to lie, I do think the trailers could have been a bit better and focused on, I don't know, maybe the funness of this movie, but in the end, I don't know. I think it's mainly down to the fact that the whole HBO Max stuff, and the fact that COVID's so big in the world right now. It may not be big in the UK where I am, well, as far as I'm aware, but the thing is though, in the US, it's still a big matter, and not a lot of people are going to the cinemas and everything. And it's a real shame, this whole simultaneous release thing on HBO Max. It happened way before I started live streaming on this channel, the whole stuff of HBO Max doing the simultaneous release and everything. And a lot of filmmakers who work for Warner Brothers, who work for, Warner Brothers, were very annoyed with the whole situation because they hadn't been told about it. Legendary Pictures, who produced Godzilla vs. Kong and who are producing, Dune, weren't told about it. And bear in mind the amount of money they put into those movies. Imagine the amount of money that a Godzilla vs. Kong movie takes to make, and yet they get told by Twitter that their movie is going to go onto HBO Max on the same day it's released in cinemas. Immediately, that decreases your box office takings. So I do think The Suicide Squad is maybe the first victim of a movie that is going down because of HBO Max, because the movie's great, and I think in about 10 years time it'd be one of those comic book movies which is still talked about. I think it might have become a cult classic, and I think over time people will come to love this movie. But at the moment, though, everything's all about box office. Matt Damon said in an interview recently when he's been promoting his movie Stillwater, which I didn't want to go and see, by the way, but I just haven't got around to it. But the thing is, though, when Matt Damon was promoting his movie recently, he said something on the lines like, movie companies don't have the same, don't have the same benefits that they used to have when movies got released on DVDs, because people aren't buying DVDs anymore. I still do. I love getting a DVD and everything. But the thing is, though, people aren't buying DVDs anymore. They're watching Netflix, they're watching Prime Video, they're watching Disney Plus, they're watching so on and so and so on. Apple TV Plus, Paramount Plus in America, HBO Max in America. Again, my point here, people aren't getting, movie companies aren't getting the profits of having a DVD anymore. They're not getting the DVD sales because streaming service exists. And honestly, with the whole streaming wars going right now, which is why HBO Max did the whole simultaneous release, it's a real shame. Because I think if this movie came out just in cinemas during the summer, I think it would have got a better box office. I'm not saying it would have been a lot better, but I think it would have been better. Because I feel that the positive word of mouth of this film really would have got people to go and see it. Bear in mind, I think it's actually the highest rated DC movie on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment. I think it's higher than Wonder Woman and higher than Shazam, which are both also in the 90s, by the way, on Rotten Tomatoes. But the thing is, I don't always trust Rotten Tomatoes. I always think it's a bit rigged. But you get my point there. There's a positive word of mouth with this film, mostly. There's some people don't like it, and those people are wrong. But it's all subjective and stuff like that. But the thing is, though, yes, there's some people who don't like this film, but overall, it is getting a positive word of mouth, and I think over time, people could really love this movie. But it's a shame that it just didn't do the best when it opened, because I think that will affect what Warner Bros. Do in the future regarding big comic book projects. I think they will have a bit more studio interference, which leads me on to my last point in this live stream. Will James Gunn come back to do another Warner Bros. Film after the box office failure of The Suicide Squad? And my short answer is yes. I do think he will. Because what I think is going to happen is, bear in mind, that James Gunn has directed 6 episodes of the Peacemaker TV show coming next January, and that is still coming, by the way. That's been made. So I think when Peacemaker comes out, I think that's going to get a big audience. Because bear in mind, how big of an audience has a superhero TV shows like, Loki, WandaVision, and The Falcon and Winter Soldier have done on, Disney Plus. And I know, yes, they're Marvel and Disney, but still, I think, HBO Max's first superhero comic book TV series, I think that would do pretty well with the Peacemaker. And I think after watching Peacemaker, people who haven't watched the Suicide Squad might go and check out the Suicide Squad after that. So I do think Peacemaker will give the Suicide Squad a bigger and better audience, and that's just one of the advantages of the fact that James Gunn has already shot and made the Peacemaker TV show, which is great, by the way, which I'm looking forward to and hopefully I'll get to watch. But yes, and at the same time, though, I think I think after James Gunn makes Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 can be great and get a really good reception. And I think Warner Bros. Will watch that movie and watch the reception that movie gets, and want to get James Gunn back so he can make more movies like that. I think they'll get him back, and again, this is just pure speculation, but I think they'll get him back to do Justice League 2. I think they'll get him back to do Justice League 2, which is a big property and which will hopefully get a big audience. Again, that's pure speculation, but I can guarantee you now, more people want to go and see a movie with Batman, Superman, The Flash, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman than Polka Dot Man, King Shark, Ratcatcher 2, Bloodsport. All great characters, going to point out, but not well-known characters. I didn't have a clue who the characters were. That's actually one of the reasons I wanted to go and watch this movie. The fact that I didn't know who the characters were, and I was excited to find out who they were. But the thing is, though, for most people in the world, they want to go watch a movie with Batman, and they want to watch a movie with Superman. And so I think James Gunn will return to Warner Bros., but I think he will return to another project which is big, more of a hot property like Justice League 2, or maybe even, a Superman movie. I keep saying that. I think James Gunn's going to do a Superman movie. Bear in mind, Superman apparently was also in the Suicide Squad, by the way. There's actually article released recently that one of James Gunn's early ideas for the Suicide Squad movie was actually have Superman face off the Suicide Squad, and that was like the main plot of the film. The Suicide Squad have to go and find Superman because he's been like possessed by something, and they have to go and face off Superman and get him back to the Superman we all know and love. Imagine that movie, by the way. And bear in mind, that movie could still happen. A movie like that could still happen, and a James Gunn Superman movie could still happen, and I think there's actually a better chance of that happening now. I think he will still go back to work with Warner Bros. I think James Gunn will be back to work with Warner Bros., and especially after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, because I think that movie will get a great reception, and I think Warner Bros. Want him back, so people want to go and see another James Gunn movie with Warner Bros., and I think that's what will happen. But I think the next James Gunn movie, Warner Bros. Do with James Gunn, I think it will have a bit more studio interference, because apparently James Gunn had complete creative control over the Suicide Squad, and I don't know if the same would happen with a future comic movie he directed at Warner Brothers. Maybe have a bit more studio interference, not loads more, I don't think, but I think it will still have a bit more, and I think the budget be decreased down on James Gunn's next superhero movie, but nevertheless, I think they'll give him a big hot property, say you go and do this now, and he'll make something like Justice League 2, pardon me there, Superman, or I don't know, another fantastic movie with these big characters in, and hopefully people will go and see it, and hopefully that'll do better at the box office. But unfortunately for now, James Gunn's first outing in the DC universe it's failed at the box office, which is a shame overall, because the movie's great. Go and check it out if you haven't already. And in fact, this is only happening in America, but still, America's a pretty big market for, box office and whatnot. But the thing is, though, in the end, the movie's great, but unfortunately, it's failed at the box office. And hopefully, James Gunn comes back to Warner Bros. Films, because I feel it gets more freedom at Warner Bros. Than it does at Disney. Pure speculation there, but if you look at me like Guardians of the Galaxy, I feel that, has more MCU shoehorn stuff in there, and then I feel like a movie, the Suicide Squad, James Gunn will just let off the leash in that movie. But nevertheless, I think that either way, it's going to be interesting to see what James Gunn does in the future, and it's going to be interesting to see the direction that Warner Bros. Takes as well. It's just unfortunate the Suicide Squad failed the box office, and in my opinion, it's all their fault as well. It's all Warner Bros. Fault because they did the whole HBO Max simultaneous streaming thing on the same day, and they should have just charged people on HBO Max to watch this movie. Just charge them $10, $20, and at least again then some sort of a profit if people are watching it on streaming services right now as well. But the fact is, though, they're not charging people, so people can just watch for free, willy-nilly in America on, HBO Max, The Suicide Squad for free. And if people want to go to cinemas to see it, they have to pay like $10, $20 in America, and I think that's just a shame overall. And so that's my opinion on why I think Warner Bros. Screwed their own project and their own box office with the Suicide Squad. And so that's my main topic, that's my only topic done for today on this live stream. That's where I'm going on this live stream today. The fact that I am disappointed that the Suicide Squad has not done well at the box office, but in the end, I think, I think James Gunn will be back, and hopefully the next comic movie that James Gunn does with DC, hopefully it will be a lot better at the box office. Hopefully it'll do a lot better at the box office, because I think this movie is great. But hopefully the next James Gunn comic movie that he does with DC will do a lot better at the box office. But until then, we'll have to wait and find out to see how it does. But anyway, guys, that's it done for today now. That's where I'm going to end my live stream now, because there's really anything else going on in the world right now in terms of movie and TV news. But for now, I'm going to leave this live stream here today. Thank you for watching this live if you have been watching this live, and thank you for watching it. If you haven't watched it live, I'll just be repeating myself there. And thank you if you watch it on playback as well. And yet again, if you have a topic you want me to talk about in my next live stream, please do let me know in the comment section below. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and see you guys again soon. Bye-bye for now. Bye.